Going legally blind as a teenager. Today, I want to talk about those common struggles and difficulties, feelings that a lot of teenagers managing visual impairments experience. I thought I would share a lot of what I learned and what I've discussed with others and their experiences in hopes that it will help you if you are a teen watching this and experiencing sight loss, or maybe you are a parent of a teenager managing a visual impairment. So here we go, let's get started. My name is Cindy and welcome to Seeing Blind. Real quick, if you are new to my channel, guys, I try to always upload videos that I think are helpful for the blind VIP community, especially those like me who are parents. I also love to post blind mom hacks, just life hacks, tips and tricks in general, because anything that makes life a little easier, I am all about, right? Today's chat is actually a follow-up to a video I did a while back called Losing Eyesight as a Young Child. So if you haven't seen that one yet, you might want to check it out. I'll put it in the cards above as well as in the description box below. I think I left off in that video around age 9, 10, 11, where things were really getting real. I realized, okay, there's no fix-it. I have Stargardt's disease, by the way. It was really sinking in that there's no cure or treatment coming anytime soon. So being visually impaired, I was really starting to completely understand how it's going to impact every life experience and decision to come. With that being said, let's start with some of those tween, teenage, early years of teenagerhood. Now, you'll find that everyone's sight loss journey is different and unique, and some people experience spikes and plateaus at complete different times, okay? But in our teenage years, a lot of us tend to notice that we experience spikes in sight loss around certain hormonal and physiological development changes in our bodies. So of course, for me personally, that hit me around age 12, 13. But I actually met one of the requirements to be legally blind, which is 20/200 at age 12. So pretty early. I was in middle school and yes, it was just a lot going on. I was losing a lot of vision pretty quickly, but that was not the only thing on my plate. I was moving. So I was switching homes to a different part of town. This was because I was also switching schools from a private school to a public school because they could no longer adequately accommodate me. So this meant new friends, new dynamics around me, managing, okay, what do I tell everybody, and all those social awkward moments that a lot of young teenagers experience. So I definitely don't recommend parents introducing any major changes, and if you can avoid switching jobs that would require your family to move, switch schools, or anything like that, I would try my best to avoid that during these years because there's already a lot going on. With all of that stuff that I was managing around age 12, 13 years old, none of these were actually the largest negative impact on me at the time. I was oblivious to really what was, and I didn't realize that this was going to be such a huge problem until much, much later with hindsight. So looking back, if I could do anything different, guys, it would be this. I did not know any other visually impaired person or student or anyone close to my age that I could relate to until I was about 17, 18 years old. I was getting ready to go to college. I was in my senior year of high school and just in that preparation process, and everyone was like, oh, maybe you should take some summer classes at the State School for the Blind for the summer and get some extra O&M training and some other classes, meet some other students before, you go off to college. And yes, guys, this was wonderful. I don't regret it one bit. My only regret is that it did not happen sooner. I should have been introduced to peers like me at this early stage, 12, 13, 14, or even earlier if possible. But I think it really would have made my overall journey through teenage years so much better. And I'm going to break all the reasons down for you a little bit because I feel like even if I had met people, you're still going to experience a lot of these issues through your journey, no matter what. But I think having others to relate to help you normalize your situation, to help you communicate and just verbalize and relate to, it just really goes a long way to help you on your journey, okay? So because I didn't have that, it caused a lot of, I feel like, systemic issues and really exacerbated a lot of problems and difficulties for me personally as a teenager. A lot of other people I've spoken to, still, when they went to the school for the blind, they still experienced a lot of these emotions, because at the end of the day, it's normal and it's part of the process, guys. And I wish there was shortcuts to get through it. I wish we could all snap our fingers, wake up one morning and get over all the hard stuff, the bitterness, the upset, the broken heart, the letdown, the frustration at the world around you. I wish there was something that could make it all magically go away, but there's not. It's something we all have to learn to process. We all have to figure out what it takes for us individually to let it go and manage what's on our plate. And everyone has different things on their plate from day to day. One of the main consequences for me not knowing any other visually impaired peers, it really impacted my communication skills. I feel like there's a reason why people pair the word skills with communication, because it is that. I truly feel it is something you have to learn, you have to practice, you have to experience certain situations and how you communicate your way through them to really gain that confidence and security of how to approach different people in different environments and situations and settings. So I really struggled with communication. Now, guys, I was in a small town type of area. I mean, it's not like very rural necessarily, but I was the only visually impaired student in the entire school area. And so there was just no exposure to blind VIP life. I remember getting so frustrated anytime I tried to communicate with a sighted community around me whenever my visual impairment came up. It's like they couldn't understand, wait, you're sighted but you're blind, or no, you're blind but you can still see. And it was like that whole gray area that we always talk about that no one could understand. And I didn't have the verbal skills, the communication skills to phrase it in a way that they could understand. And every time I tried, I failed. I felt like they just don't get it. So why try? That began my approach to a lot of my teenage years. I hid it. I concealed my impairment. I masked it in every single way I could. I basically became a master of fake it till you make it. And I feel like a lot of teens do. You know, teenagers by nature, everyone is insecure. Everyone is trying to figure out, okay, where do I fit in? What do I want to be when I grow up? Where do I go? Who should I surround myself with as far as friends go, and what my place is in this world? So it's already this big process of self-discovery and journey. And so adding a visual impairment on top of it, like, oh yeah, we're talking about some major heavy feelings here, guys. A lot of us all experience that. We all have those moments where we feel alone, where we feel isolated, and no one gets it, no one understands. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like, okay, no one in my area gets this. No one in my school understands what I'm going through. So I really learned to internalize a lot, and I learned to master the Jedi trick. No vision impairment here. Such a dork, I know. But I did. I would divert. I would distract. I would gloss over, anytime people would notice my impairment, if something kind of highlighted it a little bit, I would just kind of give a BS excuse, basically, and redirect, distract, and change the subject, whatever it took to move away from talking about my eyes. So that in itself had a negative consequence that, again, did not serve me well in the coming years. Because when you avoid talking about it, guys, you don't develop those verbal skills that you are going to need regardless at some point to communicate to others, and eventually you will have to, right? I feel like a lot of parents wonder, well, my teen, I never hear them talk about it, or teachers, also, they never hear too many students discuss their disability or really share with them how they're feeling or coping. And keep in mind, guys, a lot of the times it's because our vision is ever changing, and sometimes we ourselves don't know. And that's how I felt a lot of the times. I had no idea myself, and I felt like I didn't have the words to adequately explain it or express it. It was just an overwhelming feeling inside that I had no outlet for, because I was constantly so busy avoiding it, I never found the words. And I never had anyone to talk to that I could help practice and discover those words and bounce those off of someone. Another aspect to consider, guys, is it's a lot easier to open up and relate to people who get it and who understand, especially in those initial years when you're trying to figure things out yourself and don't really feel comfortable opening up yet. This is my personal experience. I was so relieved at just how natural and organically a lot of my conversations with other visually impaired people went, because it didn't matter if I fumbled over my words, if I didn't, have the right phrasing to express what I was feeling or articulate things well enough to convey what I was trying to get across. It didn't matter, because they still understood. They still got it. It's like the difference between speaking with someone who's just imagining themselves in your shoes versus someone who is in your shoes. It just seemed so much easier for me when I finally started building those relationships with others that were visually impaired. And it was like, oh my gosh, you get it. It's so much easier to, find and build these verbal skills and communication skills with you, because you get it and you can help me through that. Parents, again, if you're not the one that your teen opens up to and feels verbally free to communicate a lot of what's going on with them and how their vision is frustrating them or changing, what have you, don't take it personally. Sometimes our parents and family and close friends, sometimes they're even too close to us to put ourselves in that vulnerable situation. It takes a lot of experience and practice to get to that comfort level where you're willing to go there and talk about something you're really struggling with people you love. I remember I never felt like I wanted to upset my mom, especially. I never wanted to rock the boat. I didn't want my teachers to treat me differently or see me as, the needy student. I never wanted anyone to view me differently or have pity or anything like that. And so that was another reason why I didn't want to speak up too much about how I was doing and coping and managing my visual impairment. Keep in mind, if you are struggling to open up to anyone, don't avoid it. It is important, and building those communication skills, it takes practice. It doesn't come overnight. It's not innate. No one just wakes up with the right words. So I really encourage you guys to reach out in your community, find out others who are visually impaired in your area. And if you're like me and there aren't any, today it's amazing how many people are on social media and that are blind. I mean, there's tons of Facebook groups. There's a lot of blind Instagrammers and YouTubers, and you're welcome to reach out and DM me at any time, guys. Now, another huge piece to communication skills, and I'm actually going to mention two more concepts here because they're big ones. One is self-advocacy and the other is asking for help. So self-advocacy, guys, that's learning to stand up for yourself, to fight for things that you need. If, for example, if teachers are kind of starting to get complacent and they're starting to slack off on accommodating you in the classroom, hold them accountable and advocate for yourself. Like, hey, if you want me to be successful in your class, I could really use your assistance in blah, 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 blah. Again, it takes practice. It takes learning the right things to say, when to say them, the appropriate and inappropriate ways to go about it. All of that, it's a learning experience. And if you constantly avoid it, ultimately, it just won't serve you well in the long run, because they are skills that you'll have to learn eventually when you get out in the real world. Moving on to asking for help. It doesn't matter what part of your disability journey you're on. It doesn't matter how old you are, guys. Everyone struggles with asking for help, because it puts you in that vulnerable, humble place that it's really, really difficult. Looking back though, I think teenagers can have a little bit of extra struggles with this, because it seems like we're always having to ask for help in front of other people, and that just adds a whole nother level of difficulty when you're constantly around your peers, friends, or people that you just want to belong to and fit in, and not necessarily separate yourself in that type of way, or highlight your visual impairment by always being the one to have to ask for assistance or help or anything like that. And so teenagers, I feel like, in the classroom setting especially, it can be really difficult to put yourself out there, especially with a lot of the other insecurities going on. And like I say, you want to be normal just like everyone else. For me personally, I remember looking back, and I never wanted to look as though I wasn't capable or able as everyone else. Keep that in mind, guys. Asking for help, it's rough. And again, like everything else on the journey, it takes work, it takes effort to gain that confidence and security in yourself, to find that self-respect, self-worth, and value, to be secure in your communication and standing up for yourself and asking for help when you need it. I'm going to switch gears to the latter years of teenage times. I really appreciate you guys if you're sticking with me this far into this long video. I know it's been a lengthy chat today. If you're getting anything from our discussion today, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to let me know in the comment section if you have any questions or thoughts so far in the video. Now, when it comes to driving, this is actually one of the times in my life I was really heartbroken, defeated, depressed. I was so bitter and mad at the world, because all of my friends at 15, 16 years old, they were getting their permits, their license, they were gaining this independence and freedom, and I was still stuck in that world of dependence for rides and things like that. And as I got older, of course, what teen wants to continuously have their parents take them places when everyone else doesn't, right? I also found that there were those teenage experiences where, when drama goes down, like you want out of there right then and there. Or sometimes you're having a great time and you have no idea when you're going to be ready to go. If I could go back and share anything with myself back then that would hopefully help me through that, it would be this. And I actually got this from another channel. I think it's called Alishsa's Guide. I'll try to put it in the card or description box down below, because she is right on the money about this. She talks a lot about positivity and being present. That's honestly what I probably would go back and share with myself, with this first major letdown. It's all about a choice. You are ultimately going to make the decision. Are you going to let this defeat you and define the rest of your life experiences? Or are you going to overcome it, or find ways to adapt, or figure out what you can do to still have the same experiences or achieve the same things that you want to achieve as everyone else? And so I would definitely highlight the power of positivity, and how it's ultimately up to you to wake up each morning and choose, how are you going to go through today? Ultimately, we all figure it out. It just looks different, or we just have to do things differently than everyone else. And that is not a bad thing. It just takes a little bit of creativity and an adjustment in your mindset. She also discussed being present in that moment. This really hits home for me, guys, because I'm the type of person that I will dwell on the past and also borrow trouble from tomorrow. And you can't do that. I was doing that when I realized, okay, I'm not going to be able to drive. I'm forever going to be in the passenger seat. What if I need to go here? What if I need to go there? What am I going to do in this situation, in that situation? Blah, 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 blah. I was borrowing trouble from tomorrow. You can play the what if game all day long. But if it's not going to serve a positive purpose in your life, then just don't play it, guys. Let it go. Don't borrow from tomorrow. Be present in the moment. Focus on what your problems are, what's on your plate today, one day at a time, and just focus on that, because you will exhaust yourself and you will keep spiraling downward in this miserable life if you keep borrowing that trouble. I would also ruminate and just stew over past things, past humiliations, when I would get stranded somewhere, or I really wanted to go to a party and I missed it because I was too embarrassed to ask my parents to give me a ride, or I had no idea when I wanted to get picked up, and so because I didn't have the details, I couldn't work out transportation. I would stew on those past hurts. Those are things that I held on to, and it would feed those insecurities. So again, guys, it takes practice and effort to learn what things you need to let go, what things you need to learn from, and move on. Of course, it's easier said than done, guys. I know it, but it's just part of that journey of acceptance with your disability. And we all go through it. It is just normal and part of it. I hope, guys, that this lengthy chat speaks to you, helps you. If you have any further questions or comments, you are welcome to put them down below, or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. Don't forget, subscribe, hit that like button, guys. I will catch you in the next video. Blessings to you and yours. Take care.